The phrase academic research is bandied about in the college classroom frequently, and I think it's helpful to build your own framework for understanding what it is meant when the phrase is said in relation to most research projects assigned at the college level. The main context of the phrase is deceiving. There is not a single research step that one must take to ultimately create the assigned work. Instead, academic research is a multi-step, non-linear, and even oftentimes messy process. When performing academic research well, you never quite end up where you think you will, because the point of the research process is to find something new. If you end up exactly where you think you're going to before starting the research process, you probably missed something along the way. Before we start the process of research, it's useful to define exactly what we're starting and how to do it well. The research process consists of steps that may sometimes feel chaotic or even scary. So I'm going to break them down into 3 phases to cultivate a clearer understanding of how to get to where you're going when you set out to perform research. The 3 phases include the information phase, the knowledge phase, and the understanding phase. I'll get into what each phase entails in a moment, but one disclaimer is that these phases are pretty fuzzy and shouldn't be followed in an exact straight line. With that said, recognizing these phases as a winding path of the research process can be a practical and useful approach to performing academic research. In general, the research process starts with an internal preconception of an idea. This internal preconception moves to the external when we actively start locating the language we'll use to find existing information on a topic. This information can be articles or books or videos and the like. This step of finding information on a topic is typically where we think about the resources in the library, using databases in the library's catalog to locate this pre-existing information. This is a good time to start writing down the words that pop into your mind that can be used to describe the ideas that are also in your mind. I recommend creating a mental or a written synonym map of the words and phrases that might be useful to search when finding information. I also recommend keeping a list of what databases you've searched and the terms that you've used. This will be incredibly useful when you inevitably need to go back and find something again. So this encompasses the information phase. While we locate information, we begin to read it, which marks the start of the knowledge phase. At this point, you'll find yourself moving back and forth between the information and the knowledge phase, since as you read more information, you begin to make your own knowledge. This act of learning leads to new ideas that overtake those that maybe you had at the beginning of the process. Your research begins to morph, and new keywords you discover lead to new information. At this point, I recommend keeping some type of bibliographic diary. This can be a low or a high-tech option. You can use a pencil and a piece of paper. You can download a reference management software tool to your computer like Zotero. Whatever you decide that you like to use, it doesn't need to be pretty, but holding on to those citations along with a few keywords and sentences for each one will definitely make the next phase easier. As you read the research you found, you inevitably begin to create understanding. This is an exciting part of the process because it marks the point that you become the voice of information for others. It will be clear to you when you've reached this understanding phase because you'll notice yourself making connections between the information you read, and you'll ultimately create new conclusions. This synthesis is when you really begin creating the content that will result in your final product. Although it may feel like it will take you a long time to get to this point, you won't really learn anything unless you put an effort into the first few phases. So again, the research process is the movement from information to knowledge to understanding. Once you reach understanding, you'll be capable of displaying that understanding you've gained by creating a good research project.